Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class G2 Universe JHIAXUS from the second wave of the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. I got this from Amazon.com. As the time of this video, I believe it is still available. So the release of like the most recent Studio Series and this wave of Legacy has been very strange in the way that Hasbro says they're coming out like later this fall, and then they're just randomly showing up in stores on Amazon, other such places. So if you're looking for these, just kind of check around. But like I said, at the time of this video, I believe it is still available on Amazon. So we have that open packaging here. We can kind of reach in and touch the figure. Not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is at this point. We have some nice artwork here on the side. Kind of a close-up of JHIAXUS's head here. And then you have the robot mode. Have his ridiculously rectangular jet mode over here on the front. And then we have the standard kind of Decepticon mural there on the side. Not really too much going on the top or the bottom there. Spinning it around to the back, we have the robot mode, we have the vehicle mode, and yeah, not really much else going on there. So I'm going to go ahead, get this guy out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here he is out of the packaging, and I gotta be honest, when this figure was first announced, I wasn't that excited because I'm really not that familiar with the character, but having this figure in hand, it's a lot of fun. I mean, he really looks good. It's a very unusual like robot mode and vehicle mode, but they both really work, especially after playing with them a little bit. I love the color scheme. I think they did such a good job. I mean, this robot mode is ridiculously clean. There's hardly any kibble whatsoever. You have this very minuscule, very compressed little backpack. It just really works. Now, if you like the wings kind of flipped out a little bit more, you have that option. So you could kind of give him a little bit longer wingspan there. But they are meant to fold back in like so. Taking a look at the head sculpt. Very cool. Now, he doesn't have any light piping. And because the crest of his helmet is kind of huge, it does cover his eyes a little bit in shadow. But it is kind of a nice green paint there for the eyes. Really nice gold for the face. You have a little bit of silver here for the tubing that kind of runs around the perimeter of his head. Some nice metallic green over here. Got the Decepticon G2 symbol there, looking fantastic. And then you kind of have this yellowish gold here on the chest plate. You have a little bit more of that yellowish gold down here on the legs. Some silver here for the shins. And just all in all, it's a really great color scheme, and they did a really great job with this figure. Articulation-wise, head's on a ball joint, so he can look up, he can look down a little bit, he can tilt a little bit side to side, he can certainly spin side to side, and it's got a nice range of motion. It's not too loose, but it's got, you know, a lot of room to move there. You have a hinge here in the shoulder, as well as a swivel. You have a bicep swivel. You have over 90 degrees there in the elbow. You have a wrist swivel, and then you actually have finger movement as well, so you can see the pen right there, so that these four fingers all move together as one piece, but still very nice. Not every Voyager gets that treatment. You have a waist swivel here. You have hips that can kind of kick forward, really far actually. Can kick back a little bit. I kind of like the way this is done. They have the hip kind of integrated into like the crotch plate here. So it's very kind of integrated and looks flush, but then you can, you know, use it to kick really far forward. You do have a little bit of this that kind of hits into the chest, torso, waist section, whatever you want to call that, so it can't kick very far back. You can kick out to the side really no problem. You have a thigh swivel here. I would say you have over 90 degrees there in the knee. And then you do have this piece that kind of comes out, and that's really more for the transformation. But if you want to kind of have him pop that out to kind of utilize as thrusters in robot mode, you absolutely can. And you have some nice paint application inside there. And then you have the ankle tilt side to side. And then the little wings can kind of move around a little bit. So it's really neat. I really like the robot mode quite a bit. He does come with some accessories. He's got this all red gun, which has got some decent molding to it. Nice detail there. And that's just molded out of solid red. It does have a port back here. I guess you could connect other weapons to it. But it's got a peg on the side and a peg right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that into one of his hands. And then he's got this ridiculously, like, almost paper-thin gun, which is kind of a weird choice. It's done on a clear plastic and then painted silver over top. And again, it's got a peg on the side and a peg on the bottom. I mean, it's got a lot of nice molded detail. You can see it's almost kind of very similar detail to this gun with kind of the 3 coils and then the bolt here. So it's almost just kind of like a smaller version of the same gun and a much thinner version. But we can go ahead and put this in his other hand. And he looks good. I will say sometimes when I'm moving the hand around, it does pop this panel to open up. And when that happens, the wrist gets loose. And it's because this tab here goes into that tab slot right there. So you just have to close it back up. So it's not a huge problem, but sometimes that does pop off. You do have these ports here on the side of the arm. So if you wanted to just kind of mount the guns on the forearms like that, you could do that as well. You can see you have ports on the shoulder here and on the legs. You have a port here on the back. So you have a decent amount of weapon storage options. You could take this and peg this here on the back like so, if you wanted to do weapon storage like that, which I think looks kind of cool. I like that. Or like I said, you could have it here on the forearm. So I think that's really neat. And all of these can utilize, your standard blast effects. So you can do anything like that. I actually think this one looks kind of cool. I think the blue and the silver look really good together. So I think that's kind of neat. But yeah, so they utilize all those blast effects, are all the same, size. So you can use anything from previous releases, which is pretty cool. And just for fun, here he is with G2 Ramjet. Just to have 2 G2 characters together. I think that's fun. Really fun. G2 had some amazing color schemes. They really, really did. Oh, the 90s. In any case, let's go ahead. Let's get into the transformation. So for being such a clean robot mode, this has a really neat transformation. And it is kind of a blocky rectangle jet when you're done, but we'll get into that as we go. So we're going to start by going ahead, and if you want to just kind of flip that to make that pop open, and then you're going to rotate the fists into the forearms, and then they're going to close back up. So you can kind of move this just to kind of pop that open, and then pop that inside and close that up. We're going to come to the back here, and you can kind of flip this whole section back like this. And then we're going to take the head, and it's on this little white piece right here, and that's going to just fold 180 degrees right inside like that. At this point, we're going to go ahead and grab on, not to these pieces on the outside, but just kind of grab on down here and lift this section out. And it can be a little difficult, but there you go. Once you get that loose, you can flip this around. You can start to kind of fold this part in so that you can go ahead and flip this part out, and this will click in. Very satisfying snap. And then you can push this all the way in and then push this back up. And at this point, we're going to close this back up and kind of solidify the front of the jet mode, as you can see right there. I'm going to stretch the arms straight down if you have them folded up at all. And now these gold pieces will fold inward. Oh, before we do that, spin the waist around 180 degrees to get that out of the way. So now we're going to go ahead and fold these in. And you can see that there's a tab right here, and there's a tab slot right there. So the 2 shoulders will peg into each other like that. And then we'll just leave that there for now. So now we're going to come down to the legs, and we're going to flip this up. You want to push the outer leg part up, but grab this thruster piece like this so that it kind of pops like that. And then you're going to fold the foot down like so. We're going to lift this section up, kind of leave it about there for now. You can see that there is a wing piece here on the inside. This is going to flip around and kind of soft click into place when it gets to there. You can see that there's kind of like a little notch for that to click onto. So you're going to spin that around, and that'll kind of naturally stop where it's supposed to. So once again, we're going to flip this out, put this up about there, flip that foot in like so. Then we're going to flip this section down like this. And you can kind of get the wings out of the way for now if you want. You have to kind of lift them away a little bit before you can rotate them, because it's a tab here on the inside of the wing that tabs in right there. So that's kind of what keeps it really secure. So you want to make sure that that can clear. push this down. Now you can see that there's kind of a little clip right here, and that's right where this little section is going to fit in. So we kind of bring this up, and this will rotate on here, and then that will just grab right onto there, and then you can kind of push that further down. Then there is a tab, obviously, right there, that is going to tab into that little spot underneath on the foot. You can see it right here on this foot. So we're going to bring this up and just repeat this process by popping this on here, bringing this down, tabbing that onto the foot, and then we're just going to push the two legs together. So that'll clip right there, and then the wing piece here will kind of clip all together. Then we're going to just go ahead and fold the bat pieces underneath. We're going to grab a hold of the entire kind of arm assembly here, and we're going to pull it away like so. And you can see that there are these green hinge pieces right there. This is going to come down, and then you can see that there are these two tabs on the forearms, and they are going to tab in right there and there. So this is going to come down, that's going to tab in there, and that's going to tab in there, and really secure that all up. And then the last thing to do is just bring these down. Actually, I think I went around the wrong way. It doesn't really matter, but it's easier to do it from here. So flip out the wings if you haven't already. And you can see that there's this tiny little square tab slot right there. And that is going to hook onto this right here. So you'll bring this down, and you won't just leave them up like this. You kind of have to bring this part at an angle so that this can come down and peg on there right like that. So flip this wing out, bring this down, and then just tab that right on there. And there we go. We have JHIAXUS in his jet mode. And like I said, it's a big, boxy, square, rectangle-ish type thing, but it's really growing on me. Honestly, it really is. Like I said, I love the color scheme. It's really not too bad. The only thing that kind of hangs underneath here are the arm pieces, but they really do kind of tab in nicely, and they're very secure. You really don't see a ton of robot kibble in this mode, which I think they did a pretty good job about. And you can see you still have several ports around, so that if you want to bring those weapons back in, you can kind of peg them in on the sides. Actually, I'm going to flip it on this side because these pegs kind of get in the way. But you can go ahead and peg those weapons in. Now, it almost looks like this is supposed to, because it has this little piece for, I guess it's like a clip right there. And it looks like it's supposed to fit into that little spot. So it kind of looks like it's meant to peg on top. But unfortunately, it just doesn't really. This isn't long enough to get to the hole to stay in place before this part of the gun hits into the hinge. So unfortunately, that's not really doable. This one's not really either, just because that's such a straight piece of plastic. It's really the same kind of problem where that hits into the hinge before that can peg in there. But you could peg it in on either of the sides here. And he doesn't have nearly as many spots as the robot mode did. I guess you could peg them in underneath here if you wanted to, which were the old forearms, so that's an option. But he's also got these thrusters here on the back, so if you have some effect pieces, you can go ahead and peg them in. And that looks pretty cool. I like that a lot. So if you have any previous effect pieces from past releases, those would totally work. But yeah, it's just kind of a giant rectangle jet. But I really like the kind of bat wing aspect to the wings, both in the vehicle mode and of course in the robot mode. It's just a really neat aesthetic. And I absolutely love the Decepticon G2 insignia there. I think that's really cool. So yeah, it's a goofy little jet, but I'm really starting to love it. I actually like JHIAXUS a lot more than I thought I was going to. Like I said, I didn't really have any connection to the character because I'm just not that familiar with him. But after playing with this figure for a while, I absolutely love it. It's a really great robot mode, hardly any kibble whatsoever. It's just a really sharp, clean-looking robot mode with great articulation, great accessories. I think the head sculpt looks great. I love the wing backpack on the back there. Really doesn't get in the way of any articulation at all. Just looks good, very nice and compressed to the back. The goofy looking rectangular jet mode that I originally hated has really grown on me. I don't know how to explain it. I just think it's a ton of fun. It's a really fun transformation as well. It's just a really nice, easy, fluid transformation. Everything really snaps and holds together well. So I absolutely love this guy. I can't recommend him enough. Like I said, I got mine from Amazon. As far as I know, it is still available on Amazon. So go ahead, pick yourself up one, and definitely add them to your collection. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.